Okay, knowing how to round decimals, again, is one of those super important foundational skills uh, that is needed to be developed for anybody. And being able to do it correctly and confidently is also important. So, how do you round decimals? So I've kind of broken it down to a series of steps. You may have learned these steps differently in the past. But this is just what I'm going to show to kind of clearly enunciate how I'm going to go about rounding decimals. So step one is to mark the given place value with an arrow. So let's kind of walk through these steps with this example down below. So we want to round this number to the nearest hundredth place. So step one is to mark the given place value with an arrow. So which place value are we looking at? Feel free to look at the previous page when we talked about place values. But the hundredth place is the second decimal place to the right in the fractional part of the decimal number. And you know that it's to the right because it has this th suffix here at the end. So let's go ahead and write out this number, 3826,718.379. Okay, so the hundredth place is this one. So step two, step one is to mark the given place value with an arrow, okay, which is what I just did. Step two now is to underline the digit to the right of the marked place value. So we're going to underline the digit to the right of the marked place value. Now we want to determine, is the underlined digit greater than or equal to 5? So is 9 greater than or equal to 5? And the answer is yes. 9 is greater than 5. So if the answer is yes, you're going to add 1 to the marked digit. So we're going to add 1 to 7 to round it up to 8. And then rewrite the number, deleting all digits to the right of the rounded digit. So we rounded up the 7 to an 8. Now we're just going to copy down the rest of the number just like that. So 3,826,718 and 379 thousandths when rounded to the hundredth place is 3,826,718 and 38 hundredths. So that is now that number rounded to the hundredth place. All right, let's look at the 10th place. So let's write down this number again. All right, so the first step is to mark the place that we're rounding to. So notice here that it's got this th suffix to it, which means it's going to be in the fractional part. It's going to be a place, a decimal place to the right of the decimal point. And the 10th place is the very first one next to the decimal point. So now we'll identify the digit to the right of that marked decimal place. And then we'll ask, is 7 greater than or equal to 5? And the answer is yes. So if the answer is yes, we round up our marked digit. So we're going to round up a 3 to a 4. We'll write down the rest of the other digits, and we discard what's left on the right-hand side. So our number gets rounded to 3,826,718.4. Now, sometimes you might be asked to round something to the whole number. And you're like, whole number? What decimal place was that? Because I don't see a decimal place called whole. Okay. So the reason why I'm giving this as an example is because a whole number is a number with 0 decimal places, and the decimal point gets removed. So our original number was 3,826,718.379. So when we're rounding this to the nearest whole number, it's going to be the ones place that we're rounding. And so now what you do is you look at the next digit to the right of that one, and we ask, is 3 greater than or equal to 5? The answer is no. So if the answer is no, leave the marked arrow digit alone. So because 3 is not greater than 5, we're going to leave the 8 alone. So we're going to be left with 3,826,718. And then we get rid of everything else to the right of the rounded digit. All right, so let's move on. Now we're going to round 3,826,718.379. We're going to round that to the hundreds place. So where's the hundreds place? So tens, hundreds, hundreds. Sorry, right there. Getting carried away. All right, so the hundreds place is the second decimal place to the left of the decimal point. So we're going to underline the digit just to the right of it, and then ask, is 8 greater than or equal to 5? And since the answer is yes, we'll round up. So we're going to round the 1 to a 2, and then we'll put the rest of the other numbers in. All right, but now we actually have a gap here between the 2 and the decimal point. So whenever you have a gap like that, when you've rounded a number above the decimal point, you need to put 0 in as a placeholder. Okay, so this is what the answer would be in rounding that decimal number to the hundreds place. So that's the answer there. And we're going to kind of punctuate that point with this next example. So we're going to round it to the 10,000s place. So we've got 3,826,718.379. And now we need the 10,000s place. So that's going to be a decimal place to the left. And so we've got ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Should be making arrows on all those. Let me do that again. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. And then this is the digit just to the right of it. And so is 6 greater than or equal to 5? The answer is yes, which means we are going to round up. So this 2 is going to get rounded up to a 3. And then we've got our decimal place here. And now we've got a bunch of zeros we have to put in for placeholders. So we have to put a 0 here where the 6 went. We have to put a 0 here where the 7 went, a 0 here where the 1 went, and a 0 here where the 8 went. So 3,826,718 and 379 thousandths when rounded to the 10,000s decimal place would look like this: 3,830,000. That's it. All right. So with these examples, move on to the next think, pair, share, and try and see if you can do something similar with this new number.